Hello learners, welcome to today's important session. And today I'm going to talk about a very important course which is entitled Feature Writing. But in that course also, today we will be talking about a very important topic which will be based on interview. Before I begin talking about, in detail the interview and its other different aspects, let me briefly tell you about this important program which is being offered by IGNOU. And this is Diploma program, Diploma in Creative Writing in English, which happens to be one of the popular courses, okay? And we have, enormous, huge response coming from learners, okay? Because this is open for almost all people. There is no age bar at all, okay? Beginning from like those students who have completed +2, and then there is no age bar as such. When we talk about Diploma in Creative Writing in English, in today's world, I think it has become, a widespread, I think, program, And today, there are a lot of people, a lot of students, not only students, but working people also who are interested in, writing, and they want to publish their, maybe narratives or creativity, So this is a program which really helps students to, enhance their writing skills, okay? And particularly it focuses on, promoting writing skills in different spheres of writing, particularly different genres also, be it in the genre of poetry, prose, even in terms of writing, also TV scripts or radio scripts also. So therefore, it's very important, program which is entitled Diploma in Creative Writing in English. What I'm going to do today is to talk about a very important topic, which is about interview, which is related to one of the courses of this program, and one of the courses which is entitled Feature Writing. So when we talk about feature writing, feature writing has been one of the, I would say, one of the demanding aspects of writing, because when you talk about news writing and other things also, feature writing comes to play a very important role, because people get fed up with reading news in the daily lives also. So today's readers, they don't want to read much, they don't want to go depth in depth into reading newspapers, other things also. Therefore we have this concept of feature writing. Feature writing, it enhances, interest of the readers into reading articles, because it is entitled feature, So there are varieties of things, which are involved into, feature writing. So essentially, feature writing is meant to, enhance the interest of the readers, okay, by incorporating certain, different aspects of writing, So somehow it is very helpful to make the writing or maybe article so much interesting that readers do develop interest in reading articles. So when it comes to talking about feature writing, I think it is there that we talk about interview and the different role of interview. So let us get started with it. So when we talk about interview, interview plays a very important role, in feature writing, because it makes the article to be very fascinating, and also exciting for the readers, and there are a lot of interesting articles also which are based exclusively on interviews. So the art of interviewing therefore needs careful cultivation. So when we talk about the art of writing, and particularly with the context of interview, people, wherever you go, they talk about interviews and all. So I'm not talking about the general interviews which people face, while going for the jobs and other things also. But this is a different category of interview when we talk about feature writing. So supposing you're writing a feature writing. So feature writing can be based on in-depth analysis, research also. It could be research-based, and when we write about one particular topic which is research-based, so we try to gather information with the help of interviews also. So there we have the important role of interviews. So with the help of interviews, you try to gather information as much as you can, So there we see the importance of interview, and by interviews also you incorporating the maybe a conversation which takes place between the person and the interviewee, the interviewer interviewee. It makes the writing to be very interesting. So when a reader goes through the writing, and when he goes through the script of conversation, it makes the reader very interesting to go through the article. So therefore we have this importance of interview here. Now when we talk about this interview, we also get to know that it is a very huge source of knowledge, source of information, and it also provides us fresh knowledge, fresh ideas, fresh, I would say, insights, So today I'll be talking about 4 important aspects of interviews, So we are going to know about the art of interview. I'll be talking about this in detail. We'll be also, knowing about how to prepare for an interview, how to conduct yourself, how to conduct interview, how to, behave yourself during that interview, and also how to record the interview. So these are 4 important things, I would say, which are very, very important for, interviews, because these 4 different aspects are there. And these 4 different aspects are very much also, related with the interview articles, So there are different kind of articles also, and interview articles is, I would say, is one of the 4 narratives, where importance is given to the interview. So the article is essentially based on interviews which have taken place to get information, and that article is the result of that interview. So based on this, we have this called interview articles. So when we talk about interview articles, they rely principally on, I would say, interviews. When we talk about interview articles, and they vary, in scope, emphasis, and they also relate to some, primary functions also. When we talk about primary functions, it essentially relates with 3 important functions, which is to provide information, to provide education, motivation, persuasion, and entertainment. So these 3 important functions are very, very important when we talk about interview articles, okay? So providing, education, entertainment, and information. Now, there are, types of interview articles also. So basically, there are only 2 types of, interview articles, and they are based on maybe personality and subject. So one is known as personality-based, interview article. The other one is known as subject-based, article. When we talk about personality-based articles, so as is clear from the title itself, personality. So the focus is given on the prominent, person, you can say, who you are interviewing, And these kinds of interviews or articles are based on, personal, on the information given by the persons, So they are based on either on that particular person or the views given by that particular person, to find out, what personality, personal traits, that person is having, And in this kind of interview, what we notice is that the subject, need not even be prominent, but maybe someone in your local community with an interesting view of life, or a very important person. So therefore, when we talk about personality-based, I would say, person. So as is clear from the, the nomenclature itself, the title, when we talk personality-based. So when we go for, this kind of articles, we generally try to gather information from those persons, so personality based. So that person could be, a very well-known person, or could be politician, could be sports person, or could be a person, you can say, having a lot of information, also personality based. So when we talk about, information interview, there is another category of, interview article. And the other category is known as subject-based, article. So this is another kind of interview article which is subject-based. So as is clear from the title itself, subject, it talks about subject, So interviews, this kind of interviews witness, a kind of a specialist on a subject. So we call a specialist, a person, and we ask him or her a lot of questions. So we try to get a whole range of informations, insights, and this is also an extension of another kind of approach, I would say, which is known as symposium interview, where we have a panel of experts with a wide range of views, being asked, to speak on particular issue. And there we get a lot of answers in a variety of depth on perspective. So, let me explain a little bit about this. When we talk about subject-based, interview articles, so here we try to, invite, experts. They could be subject experts, you can say, from different domains of, different realms of, disciplines, So you could invite person maybe coming from science background, a scientist even, You could also invite a person, from a sports, section also, sports, air also. So, when we talk a subject, economists, suppose you want to talk about certain policies, economic policies, then you may invite them, economist, who could be, if you want to talk about politics, you may invite politician also. So subject based, you get a lot of information on the subject, or maybe on some of the burning issues which are related to that subject. Suppose there is an important, you can say, a perspective which is emerging recently. So recently emerged perspective. So you could invite experts to talk about that particular. Now we are going to witness, suppose, elections. So you invite people, coming from different backgrounds, different political parties to give their views. So could be specific, perspective, based also one particular. So that is why it is known as subject-based. So if you want to talk about, suppose, poetry, so you invite a person coming from literature background. So you may invite a professor, you might invite also an author also. To talk about creative writing, you invite an author also, well-known persons who have publishers also, those who have who are having a lot of information, knowledge about this. So these are two kinds of interview articles: subject-based and personality-based articles. After having talked about this, let me talk about the art of interviews. As I told right in the beginning, we're going to talk essentially about four important things, and one of them happens to be the art of interviewing. So this is one of the skills which is taught by us, through this program, Diploma in Creative Writing English. And the most important thing about the art of interviewing is that the first thing to notice is that getting people to talk. So you have to somehow try to contact a person, you can say, who you are going to interview. So, and this is not an easy task, this is an art which should be learned, even if some of us are better at it, But, get to know what interests people, learn to ask questions, that get out of them. And these are very interesting things, And, getting people to talk is also very much related to, getting responses from them, So once you try to contact them, you try to get responses from them, because, your article is going to be based on interview. So this is one of the aspects of interviewing, the art of interviewing, how you're going to interview. So the first thing to notice about it is that you try to get the person who you are going to interview. So interviewee could be from any discipline also, different realms of existence also, So these are very important things. So now this is the first aspect of interviewing, the art of interviewing. The second, the art of interviewing is, can be studied under two heads. One is preparation, okay, how you are going to prepare the interview is very, very important. Secondly, how you are going to conduct it, these are two important parts of, the art of interviewing, Let me now talk about how you are going to prepare the interview. When you are going to conduct interview, you need to prepare very well, for interviewing the person, you can say. So in preparation, you have to come up with your own plan, strategy, and you try to follow that strategy. So you jot down some important points. Some of the works to do. To-do list. You prepare a to-do list also, and in that to-do list also you try to be focused on what exactly you are going to do. So you prepare an interview. You note down what kind of people do you want to interview. And then you prepare the questionnaire, also a list of questions, okay, which could be very much related to the topic you want to cover through that interview. So preparation is very, very important, therefore, and when we talk about preparation, you can say, you have to be a little bit careful, you have to plan, you have to take several steps also in this regard, As I told you, you have to prepare a to-do list so that you do not deviate from your way, you do not deviate. And then if you deviate, then it may not be helpful to you, And now, once you are ready with that preparation, try to, choose people. Okay, choosing the people of you want to interview is, as I told you, very first step in the art of interview. You may know a person, you may not know a person. If you know the person, then also you may not necessarily know about the in-depth analysis of that particular topic, on which that person would be having, knowledge, So therefore, it's very important that you choose a right person, who you want to interview, And then in this process, you also get to know about the subject. So choose a subject of your own interest, Suppose you want to interview the person about the cricket, then make sure that you are, inviting a cricketer or maybe a commentator or a person or journalist who is having a lot of interest in this, Or if you want to talk about, some other things also, other experiences also, that can also be part of it, And then you set up the interview. Once you are ready with that preparation, you set it. Once you have selected the person, which is the first step, you try to be focused, and your focus should be on the interview. You should you make an appointment with that person, maybe either by telephone or later in person. Though you may find difficulty initially also, because it's not easy to get appointments all depending on the circumstances. So you have to be ready with that, and prepare a list, and make sure that you are having the to-do list just well before you. And then in general, what happens that, giving the interview sufficient notice, this is very important. You try to give, important notice to the person who you are going to interview, and you should be having a very clear idea of the purpose of the interview as to what exactly you are going to ask that person. So get ready with the questions, asking for follow-up. You try to contact that person and do the follow-up, so that you are well in contact with that person. It cannot happen that just once you call him, contact him, and you just forget, for maybe 1 week before the interview. It shouldn't be happening like that. You be in constant touch with that person who you are going to invite for the interview. Be in constant touch with him or her, and also keep updating that person, about the interview, about the topic, which you will be you'll be liking to explore through that interview, so that you are well in tandem with that person, the interview, and then you prepare some questions also, which are very, very important, those are. So in the first part, art of interviewing, you try to contact the person. Once you have contacted him, prepare the list of questions, so and then, so that was the part of preparation, how you prepare the question. In the second part, which is concerning conducting the interview, Once you have gone through the first part, okay, which is preparation part, your next concern should be, the actual conducting the interview, and it would be very useful, helpful, keeping in mind certain things when you are taking the interview. And the certain things which should be kept in mind are like importance of being relaxed during the interview, getting on to the interview's wavelength. The first few minutes are very, very important, and keeping the interview moving. Avoid interruptions in between. Don't interrupt them, okay? Your job is to keep the interview moving, ask short questions, okay? Be very precise, and if possible, if you make any comments, their sole purpose should be to push the interview forward, Your comments should be such that the interview can use them to make further observations also. Do not show up, unnecessarily thing, So these are very, very, very important things, when you talk about interview, the conduct of the interview. The main, main important, essence of the interview is the conduct of interview. Okay, how you are conducting the interview is very, very important, because it is through conducting the interview that you get information from the interviewee, So make him to be very relaxed person, you can say, and ask questions, such a way that the person is feeling very, very relaxed, and so are you. So it should be, both, from both sides, So you should be also very relaxed. The other person also should be very relaxed. Ask very relevant questions. Ask very short questions, don't get frustrated, okay? Avoid interruptions also. Too much interruption during the interview is also not good, So make sure that you're not coming up with a lot of interruptions in between. So these are the things which you have to keep in mind. Now, moving forward, after you have conducted the interview, what happens is that at times you feel as if you have missed certain points. So then you can record the interview, okay, while taking an interview, and any place you can, and then you have the task of recording it, as faithfully as possible, and then you will need, help of memory of note takers also while the interview is on, so that you can do, okay. And then note making can be done, using a tape recorder also. But these are, old ways of taking interview using tape recorders, okay. Nowadays voice recorder is also there. You can take help of that as well, And after your interview is over, if you feel that interview has not gone well, then you can reconstruct it, reconstruct the interview in your own way, you can say. And after this interview is over, you should fill in your notes, using the exact words, phrases of interviews and you should also, while those words are still fresh in your mind, then you set notes aside and you try to, have a reflection on how the interview has gone, and then you try to summarize that, So these are very, very important things, you can say. We talked about two very, very important things, First was preparation of the interview. So you have to prepare, and second was, how to conduct interview. Those were two important things. Now let me move ahead, talk about some preparing questions also. But because preparing question is also very, very important. It's not that you just ask the interviewee whatever questions you are having. No, you prepare a questionnaire, a list of questions also. You focus how to formulate questions, basic questions, what are the basic questions, techniques, you should be knowing what are the techniques of asking questions, and handling certain types of interviews. These are very, very, very important things, you can say. So now when we talk about preparing questions, you make sure you're handling the questions with care, and these are very important. The ability to improve during the interview is also very, very important, However, you should not be completely relying on your ability, because you should not assume that you will be able to keep, one step ahead of your interviewee. So you have to keep them. And the next important thing is that you write down some of the important questions, okay, in advance. As I told you, okay, while preparing the question, okay, important questions, okay, make sure that you are having a list of questions before you. Okay, so you prepare those questions, you can say, and make sure that those questions are, easy to understand. You can, so easy for the interviewee to understand also. So write down important questions in advance, formulate your questions also. You can also include, routine questions, routine answers also. Prepare them in a very logical manner, and jot down some important questions sequence in the order. So these are very important things. So certain points to remember while framing question: avoid questions, okay, which may draw yes or no answer. We do not ask such questions, okay, when you are inviting people, there. So the questions should not be based on the yes no answers. Do not let your questions show biasness. Okay, have a focus on the questions. Okay, these are very important things. I know how a focus is determined. The person you have chosen to interview, will tell you how you should proceed. At times what happens that you are having different ideas in your mind, though, so the other person may not have it, but you have to sit with him, and just plan, and then accordingly you just try to cope up with him, and make sure that your questions are based on 5 W's, H, which are very important things also. Be flexible in asking questions. You have some supplementary questions with also follow-up questions also. These are very important things, you can say. So what we have done today is that we have talked about interview with reference to feature writing, how interview articles can be published, incorporating the interviews, okay, because certain articles are there which are based on interview, particularly those articles which are research based answers also. So I hope that today's lecture has helped you in understanding how we should prepare for an interview, how we should prepare questionnaires for the interview. And I recommend that all of you please go through the booklet, so that today's lecture may help you in understanding about feature writing with reference to interviews. That's it for today. Thank you so much.